joke that artists have an extra chromosome that causes them to do art, because it seems that people that are really involved in art can't help themselves. They have to do it.
And artists don't make work really to get noticed. That's a benefit if you're trying to sell work, but artists make work because they have to make work, and because they're stimulated by the ideas of other artists.
It's the one thing that makes people different from all the other millions of animals on the earth. There's a lot of different animals out there. We're an animal too, but we can make art, and we know when we're making art, and we put meaning into it.
Everyone has their religion or has to believe in something. I call that your Godot. So my Godot is art.
You know, having a cool place to live is very important, and that is created by artists in part, but a cool place to live will also attract artists. I think there's an artistic legacy to the Hudson River Valley that's always been here. There's the Hudson River School of Painting. So there's a whole painting school that was named after this region.
The Hudson Valley School of Painters were here because they loved the beauty in the area, and so does people to this day.
The valley itself has certain things which are, I think, unique. Landscape and the archetypal sunsets, and the light is very different to other parts of the country. And you do have this mass of water which is moving up and down and up and down every day.
But it's more than just the natural, because you have rural areas where artists are living all over the country, but the fact that there's a continuum here that goes back to the country's first arts movement is key. That's always in the background, I think. People are cognizant of that.
Yeah, for me, I think one of the answers is proximity to New York City, where that interacts with the environment and the nature and the wilderness. Causes sort of interesting manifestations, interesting pieces of art, and interesting ways of creating art that you might not see in other more natural places.
Artists who are New York City oriented but don't want to be part of the New York City game will come here, because you still have easy access to the city, but life is a little bit slower.
It's nice to be able to go to the laundromat or the health food store or whatever and run into friends and be able to just talk about stuff and then go your own way. And, it's a much looser and easier kind of feeling to the community here than in New York City.
Artists go where artists are, and they go where real estate is cheap. So 6 years ago in the Hudson Valley, real estate was relatively inexpensive compared to New York City. Many artists came here from New York because Brooklyn became too expensive. So artists came up the Hudson River. And in fact, one of the reasons artists came up the river 50 years, 100 years ago was for the very same reason.
I was just, working in the city, and I wanted a place with a nice home, with a nice parcel of land for my family so they could have a yard and everything else. So we ended up moving up here. Later on, there was an art scene, so I used to go and see all the, every weekend I would go either to Beacon or Kingston or Putnam Arts Council. Then I started getting involved there, and that's when I decided I would start, creating and actually showing my work.
interesting is that, you know, with Deer moving into Beacon, and then Carl opened his gallery, there was a series of events and people kind of flocking out of the city. Was that there was, you know, a genuine kind of en masse flock to Beacon as a point, and then other places up and down the valley. And that started to really kind of, you know, create a sense of community. You know, suddenly there were people who were looking to connect.
The good things are there are little concentrations of good artists where they find a community and they go together. And one of the bad things is that it's also dispersed.
I work mostly in Beacon. The Van Brunt Gallery has tried to get artists from surrounding communities.
Poughkeepsie,
Ulster County,
Woodstock area, Kingston.
In Peekskill,
Cold Spring.
Newburgh.
Through the gallery, I've gotten to know a lot of artists from the community. But I can understand maybe the feeling of fragmentation.
I think the caliber of the artists in the Hudson Valley is unique in my experience. Even living in Seattle and other places, there are a lot of artists who live in Seattle, a lot of artists who live in Chicago, Boston, Miami, and a lot of major cities in this country. But the artists who come to the Hudson Valley are artists who are intellectually very interesting, very conceptually oriented.
Diverse. I mean, I think what I like about it is there are a lot of people doing the same thing very differently.
More digital artist.
painting, photography, some sculpture, I paint murals.
Found collage items, doodles, diagrams, and then I use them in acrylic-based paintings using a lot of gesso and Venetian plaster, as well as acrylic inks.
Mostly do paintings, but I also do sculptures.
I'm a photographer.
A lot of these things here, the books and lamps and other kind of odds and ends.
Build watercolors in a camera. And natural objects. Rocks, leaves, pine cones.
Photographic transfers with acrylic mediums, and I blend all those things together.
So I think, you know, it is a diverse group.
I eat all your words and make everyone dumb. The air feels heavy, let's call it a cultural sublimation. I dream you lie into this world, but we polish and we polish and we wash everything away. Just like I lived in fear of filing all my thoughts away. I haven't done a single day's work, but I'm feeling oh so lazy. I dream you alive into this world, but we polished and we polished and we never even left a single stain. My heroes are blown